Let's make note that Philippians 2, verses 5 to 11 is making reference to Messiah Yahusha. And let's read verses 9 to 11 again. Therefore, Elohim also has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahusha every knee should bow, of those in heaven and those on earth and of those under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahusha, Messiah, is Lord, to the glory of Elohim, the Father. End of quote. So, clearly, these verses are speaking of Yahusha, Messiah, who, as the verse says, is equal of Elohim, and the fullness of Elohim in a body, so as to serve a purpose. And that purpose was death on a crossbeam that would be hung on a tree so as to save us. And so when we read this verse, we must actually ask ourselves, who's talking? At the beginning of the passage in verse 21, we see clearly that it's Yahuwah speaking of himself. He goes on to emphasize that there is none besides him. He alone is Elohim and Savior. And in verse 23, we see that he says of himself, to me, every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall swear allegiance. End of quote. And so we see that after taking the time to emphasize that he is speaking of himself, he speaks these words that we just saw spoken in Philippians 2, verses 10 to 11, which are spoken about Messiah Yahusha.